All right, Assalamu alaikum, dear family. At this time, could we please stand for prayer? In the manner in which you are most comfortable, follow along silently. Surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to he who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant, and I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me into the best of morals, for none can guide into the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals but thee. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. You may be seated. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we give praise and thanks to Allah for his coming and appearing to us in the personage of Master W. Fard Muhammad, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. And we thank him for coming 9,000 miles to seek and save that which was lost and is lost, and that is the black man and woman in the hells of North America. We were a unique people that he didn't send a messenger, he didn't send a aid, he came himself, because the work that had been done to us, only God could lift us up from it. We were made dead by the current rulers of this world. Well, we thank him for coming and staying with us for 3.5 years. And in that time, in that 3.5 years, at a meeting just like this one, a man came to hear him speak, Master Fard Muhammad. A man showed up. And this man that showed up, at the end of the meeting, like at the end of all of our meetings across this nation, we have something called acceptance, where you are invited to come and join back onto your own. Well, this man came up, and when it was his turn to get close to the master, he looked at him and he said, you know, I know who you are. And the history says that the master pulled him close and said, yes, but who knows it but you? And kind of pushed him on. But it didn't end there. A relationship developed between those two. And because of that relationship, you and I are sitting here today because that man that said, I know who you are, he was the one who had enough of the original materials in him that God, Master Fard Muhammad, the God, could deposit his mind into him, and that man wouldn't break, he wouldn't falter, he wouldn't weaken, nor would he leave his post. And the man that I speak of, he was born in Georgia. It said Georgia makes giants. Well, he is a giant and continues to be. He's more than that now. But he was born Elijah Poole, but because of the wonderful work that he was doing and is doing with us and to us, he became known as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah for that wonderful human being. However, brothers and sisters, I did not meet Master Fard Muhammad, and I did not meet the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's a man that's among us today. He is that messianic figure who is the embodiment of those two. And as a matter of fact, he houses within himself, in his mind, in his heart, and in his spirit, and his love for you and I, every prophet that ever has existed in the Bible or Quran. It is in this man, and we can prove that at no limit of time. And that man that I speak of, he's bold, he's courageous. He does not bend when he does not want to bend. He doesn't laugh when it's not funny. And he certainly does not scratch where he does not itch. He is an example for brothers and sisters to look at and follow. And the man that I speak of, he is our illustrious leader. He's our champion. He's our friend. He is the door to those first two. He is the Honorable Minister, Louis Farrakhan. It is in those three holy and righteous names I greet you all once again, brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. And if you don't know what that means, that simply means peace be unto you in the language of our fathers and our ancestors. And Who does not need peace in a war zone? Because we are truly in a war zone. We are walking through the valley of the shadow of death. If you don't believe it, just keep living. You'll get a brush with it very soon if you haven't already. Let me just thank everyone who came in and is sitting here today. Hey, welcome home. This is our new headquarters mosque. All praise is due to Allah. This is our new home. And isn't it wonderful? You know, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan shared with us, he said, home isn't your place. It is the base of your existence. So this is somewhere where we can, come and reboot, re-energize, recharge, because the world out there has beat us up. We'll get to that in a moment. But thank you all for coming and being here on time, and thank you for submitting to the check procedure. For they're going into the houses of worship today, and they're slaughtering everyone in there. But because of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, everybody gets checked at the door. There used to be a song that said, leave your gun and your knife at the door. Well, we make sure that that happens, and no one comes through those doors without getting checked. Why? Because sometimes people can't handle the weight of truth as it comes across the rostrum. And sometimes the weight of truth causes us not to act intelligently, but we act emotionally. Well, we remove everything that can cause a person to believe that they have an edge. You know what I mean? Because the Quran talks about these classes of angels. You have the ordinary angel, you have, the angels that help people, but then you got a class of angels called havoc-making angels. Well, we got some of them up in here too. So if anybody comes through and they just happen to slip something through, we got some on sister's side and brother's side that is prepared to deal with that. As a matter of fact, we all on post. We go clear the floor. That's cleared out, now that that's out the way. But listen, family, we're here. We thank Allah for giving us a new place to hold these meetings, headquarters. It's a beautiful thing. Mama may have and Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. Well, this is our own, and we thank Allah for allowing us to be here today. I have a question, just to pose to you. Don't raise your hand. You don't have to jump up. You don't even have to answer it. But in your mind, why did you come out today? Think about that. Did you come out to see what the building looks like? Maybe. Somebody you wanted to see? Maybe. Or is it that this week something happened to you? Whether you want to admit it or not, something happened to you that it just didn't settle well with you. Something touched you in a certain way, and right now you want to kind of come to grips with it. Why did that happen to me? That's a good question. Why did it happen to me? We can go to the 29th chapter of the Holy Quran where it says, do men think that they will be left alone on saying they believe and will not be tried? I said, but why does Allah do that? Why is he putting me through a trial? I go through trials all the time. It seems like every time I wake up, I'm under a trial. Well, let's go to the Bible. The Bible says that which God loves, that which he loves, he chastens much. We get chastised a whole lot when we love by the God. So that must mean that we obviously have something in us that he wants to tap into. And it is only through the trial that he can bring it out. We don't know it's there. Because if we knew it was there, it would be manifested. No. Does a piece of coal know that it's a diamond? Of course not. It has to go through time, heat, pressure. And after that, those three processes, then you start to see the shine in the coal. And it becomes hard. It becomes resilient, and it becomes attractive because it attracts others. Well, that's what Allah is doing to each one of us. We start out as coal, but he's shaping us to be diamonds. Just stay the course. Just don't quit. And we have a study course now that we have every Friday called Self-Improvement, the basis for community development. Think about that. Why do I need to improve? Am I there? Why do you need to improve? Did you know that the problems that we have with our families, with our loved ones, with our friends, is because of how we treated them, or vice versa, how they treated us? The Honorable Louis Farrakhan said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked him, he said, brother, what is the best religion for man? And the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, he said, well, you know, he'd always ask me questions. I didn't know what to say. I said, well, I don't know, sir. He said, Prophet Muhammad said it this way. He said, we're not really Muslims if we don't want for our brother and our sister what we want for ourselves. Because their success is our success. He said, but Jesus took it a little bit further. Jesus said, do unto others as we would have others do unto us. He said, brother, and this is the best religion for man. Because whatever problems we're having with our loved ones, with our friends, before we said or did that thing that we were about to do, if we were to just pause, count to 10, and put on their shoes for a moment and say, okay, how would I feel if that was being done to me? How would I feel if that was being said to me? That would alleviate a lot of the friction that we have, or as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad calls them, petty differences. All of the petty differences that we have, we could alleviate them if we were to put ourselves in our brother or our sister's place. And then that way, we could have really smooth sailing. That don't mean that we won't have difficulties, but it'll be a lot easier to, you know what, divorce would be down, first and foremost. No, this is real talk. Real, we family, right? This is our house, this home, this is our base. We got to talk to each other. We got to tell the truth. No. What we do, come on, divorce is skyrocketing, and especially among black people. COVID brought something out, didn't it? We were in our chambers, but it showed a little something. It's like, you know what? I didn't know you bathe every 4 days. Little levity. I don't know that to be a fact on anybody. I'm just saying. But we was in the house with each other. We got to see things. You know what? I thought you was real quiet. I didn't know you ran your mouth that much. Look what COVID brought out. A pestilence from heaven. Allah did it. God did it. But he was doing it to us, but he was really doing it for us. Huh? Real talk. Real talk. So don't be afraid of the trial, because the trial is manifesting some, both good and bad, in every one of us. So hold on, family. Don't quit. Don't quit. Think of everybody that you've ever seen. Could you imagine Serena Williams, when she got real tired, that last set, she just said, look, that's it, I quit. No, she would never be as great as she is. Right now, to this day, the greatest that ever did it. And as Student Minister Ava said, that woman is a god. Because nobody else could ever do what she did. Real talk. Real talk. He said, wait a minute. I know he's not the heavyweight champion now. But what about Mike Tyson? Hey, look, the man, he was good, but then another brother came behind him and they say he's the greatest that ever did it. It's Money Mayweather, right? He had to go through something they both did to get to where they are. I know that's on a minuscule level, but I'm getting ready to go somewhere else on a very high plane. What about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Here's a man who has endured going to death's door, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And yet he walked away. And the last time he did it, when he had that pelvic exoneration, they say that they lifted everything out of his body, put it on another table in a solution, worked on it. And he said that the doctors came out and told the family, he said, listen, he's all right. His heart is beating like a racehorse. It's beating. And I mean, he's good. And when he got out of it, he said that Steve Harvey came to visit him. And he told Steve Harvey, now this was in, was it September, October, when he had the surgery? He told Steve Harvey, he said, tell the people, I'll see them at Savior's Day. And you know how Steve Harvey is. What? What? Savior's Day? Man, you just went through, they just took your insides out. But what he was showing us, even in his pain, he walked out Savior's Day and talked about an hour, almost 2 hours that year for us. Praise be to Allah. Showing us, don't run from the difficulty. When it gets rough, stay the course. I used to be in the Navy. Enemies, you know, what I did before I came into the nation. But you ain't no sailor if you can just sail during good, you know, the waters are still. There's something out there that they call high winds and rough seas, where when the ship is hit, I was on an aircraft carrier. It didn't rock like the other ones, like a tin can. When the water hit it, it would lean to this side because that's how much weight it had. You would lean this way if you were walking, and then as it leaned this way, you would lean the other way as you walk through the, the narrow corridors on there. But the point is, you can't be afraid the ship never stopped moving. I mean, that's what made you a real sailor. They had a negative term. They called you a salted dog if you could endure that. But yeah, you endured it, and that made you tough. But we're trying to be gods. And we're never going to be a god. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, he taught us and is teaching us, we'll never be a strong people until we can learn to take the strong medicine. So difficulty is all praise is due to Allah. The difficulty is ordained for us. Don't run from difficulty. As a matter of fact, difficulty is our friend. Can I read you something from the Holy Quran? Goes right to that. Oh, brother. Yes, sir. I got you, brother. This is from Surah 94. It's called The Expansion. It says, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, have we not expanded for thee thy breast and removed from thee thy burden, which weighed down thy back, and exalted for thee thy mission? Surely with difficulty is ease, and with difficulty is surely ease. So when thou art free from anxiety, work hard and make thy Lord thy exclusive object. Dear family, those are words to live by. Surah 94, the expansion. Who don't need to expand their breast so they can take in more of the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let me, dear family, stick a pin in this. My brother slid up so smooth, I didn't even know he was over there, but he's there now. Let's bring to this rostrum, put on your thinking caps, because he's getting ready to continue a subject that he started last week. Open your minds up, open up your hearts, and let's bring to this rostrum our Delaware Valley Student Regional Minister, Student Minister Rodney Muhammad, with a loving round of applause. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the one, the all-wise, the true and the living God, we thank Almighty God, the revealer of all truth, and the sender of all prophets, of whom we make no distinction. We thank him for Moses and the Torah. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel, and we thank him for Muhammad and the revelation of the Holy Quran. But as a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's life-giving message, I'm most thankful to Allah for his own intervention in our affairs, and he has intervened. Without intervention, we couldn't even be here today. We thank Allah for intervening in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I cannot thank him enough for his exalted Christ. And we say Mahdi because the Mahdi is the Christ figure of the Muslim world. We thank him for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not just for what he accomplished with us, but what he suffered to bring about that accomplishment, all the way to the end. We thank the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank him for following what the Master told him. Make ministers and send them into the cities. And he did not fail to do that. But he sent one minister into a city, and then another city, and this minister grew into this man. By these words, he said, Allah has made me, brother, to take his place among the people. I'm making you to take mine. And that's the progressive tense, that it's a making in progress. To take one who came to him as an FOI, joining from accepting on a Savior's Day. And as we always say, this God don't leave you the way he found you. The God I was looking for all my life before I came to him, 40 years ago, that God left me the same way he found me. In fact, after finding that God, if you could say I found him, he was a mystery God. I got worse. But this God did not leave us the way that he found us. And he found an FOI. People say, well, I knew Minister Farrakhan back in the 60s and 50s. Why are y'all calling him Messiah? Because God didn't leave him the way he found him. And one of God's attributes is the evolver. And this man who submitted to him 100%, just as he submitted 100% and became a convert, has been evolved to a higher station. And so we say Messiah of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And it is something that we'll have to talk about today, and the day is coming. He is the Messiah. And your need, as it grows, you'll be looking for someone to satisfy that need. And you've already been looking, but you have not found satisfaction. So I thank Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and for Master Fard Muhammad, and I stand before them and before you eternally indebted for their student, apostle, and servant, but our leader, teacher, and guide today in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so in their names, let me greet you all with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Now you can go to other locations, but this is our location now. This is where we're going to work out right now. Take it or let it alone. This is where we're going to work out right now. We had an asbestos problem. It was in case for years, but over the period of COVID, there's a train that comes by in front of that building, and the tremors ultimately shook some of it, and when it fell, it was disturbed. Captain called me immediately and said, look, I brought the person in that you wanted to look for. We were looking for something to put in the ventilation to help with the air, which was already good because we had the return system working, but we wanted to add to a filter because of, COVID-19. And he said, that man said, this stuff is disturbed and everything. So we had to stop immediately. We got a company in immediately. They told us what they could do and what it would cost to clean it up and contain it. And so we let them know, well, look, we got somebody that can do it, but we have to have some consideration there. Well, they didn't want to offer us no consideration, so we stopped that day. And we haven't been back that day. We were closed before that, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan not only reopened the mosque, but was emphatic about you getting open and getting back after our people and putting the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad back on the track that it's supposed to be on. It's not, we appreciate the virtual, we appreciate technology, we appreciate Zoom calls and all of that, but we got to get back to the organic movement of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, person to person, neighborhood to neighborhood, community to community, city to city, nation to nation, and ultimately 196,940,000 square miles. The earth belongs to the black man. You can't expect the white man to acknowledge it. You gotta acknowledge it. Consider it your post. A black man, some 5,000 years ago, Abraham, joined the nation. Well, he prayed for it. Oh, Allah. Raise up, as we are submissive to thee, a nation submissive to thee. The word Islam is Arabic for submission, right? So if you want a nation submissive, then you put the Arabic word in there, you want a nation of Islam. Come on. For this nation, raise them up a messenger. Was that in the prayer? who will recite thy messages. That means we got to recite something. And teach them the book that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said at that time was the Bible, because we were guessing at its meaning. And that's all you left to work with, is you take a guess. Because no teacher has come to teach you, to take you out of guesswork. After he teaches them the book, also purify them. They have been defiled. Even as the Bible says of Babylon, that they had corrupted the vessels of God. It's not talking about putting wine in a cup. It's putting the wrong kind of teaching in God's people. We are God's vessels. We should pour out like a sweet wine that gives a drink to those that are thirsty for truth. But like wine, unlike just water, dead letter scripture, wine gives you a little spirit when you drink it. Y'all ain't gonna walk with me today. They prayed for a nation that would be purified and be taught the book. Where are we here? Abraham's seed. After 400 years of being in bondage, God said I would come, right? The land that has afflicted me, I will judge that land. Do we teach the judgment? Because ain't nobody else teaching it. People teaching Christ, but they ain't teaching judgment. People teaching Muhammad, but they're not teaching judgment. They even teach Moses, but they're not teaching judgment. They're judging everybody, but they don't want to be judged. That's the kind of world we live in. Well, the judge is on the scene now, in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. That's where we are. Well, we don't want to hear that black stuff. As black as you are, that's all you need to be hearing. Well, we want to talk about the prophet. I do too. Yes, sir. Because he was a sign of the one that we are struggling to represent right now. So I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I can't start without first thanking our secretary, Brother Lance. He, like the rest of the laborers, we were struggling trying to find a place. And we know you didn't like the other spot, the temporary, just a tent. When you're on the battlefield, all the places don't look. Huh? Come on now. So I understand it. But he found this place. It was clean. We did not have environmental problems like before. So our first aim was safety. All right? But then after that, you know, I thank Brother Reginald, who came to help us in the women's area to get all the bathrooms set up. Everything wasn't set up like we needed it for you. And so he got started. He got us started. I thank those brothers that came in. Brother Gregory from the prison ministry, the brothers who have been in helping the captain day and night. I really thank you all for coming in to work there. I thank Brother Wazir Muhammad, Brother Lonzo, and Brother Amin, who went on and kept going with the work all the way up to last night. And I thank our captain for overseeing all of this. Captain Anthony Muhammad. All praises due to Allah. Starting from the student ministry on down, everybody got to gear up now. Full house every Sunday. You can't fill the house up, don't come out yourself. Huh? Oh, the messenger was tough. He just get rid of us. If we carried on the way we've been carrying on, this ain't a casual thing. We're at war, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is saying we're about to face the most difficult period any people ever face. Why we got to go through the worst of it? Because the reward, which ain't just luxury and money and good homes and friendships in all walks of life, but the reward is we will be the soldiers talked about for all time. Huh? In Homer's Iliad, about the Trojan War. The Trojan War, which was said to be over the wife of King Menelaus and Helen falling in love with Paris of Troy and him taking her off from her husband, the king. And Agamemnon wanted to unite the city-states of Greece to march on Troy. And so the kings, like reluctantly from Ithaca, Ulysses and Ajax and the other kings, they brought their troops. And reluctantly, but he did come, was the greatest warrior of the Greeks in these myths was Achilles. And Achilles went to his mother, who was said to have dipped him in waters of immortality. And he wanted to let her know he was trying to make a decision after talking with his best friend of all the kings that he respected was Ulysses. And his mother told him, if you stay in Larissa, you'll meet a beautiful woman. Anybody saw the movie, but this is in the book too, you'll meet a beautiful woman and you'll have children. She'll love you and they'll love you. And then they'll have children who will know you as a grandparent and they'll love you. She said, but after your children's children have children and they have children, your name will be forgotten. See, how many of you can name your great, 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 great grandparents? So she said, so after those generations come, your name will be forgotten. But if you go to Troy and fight in this war, a war that has never been fought before, your name will be written in history for thousands of years to come. Now just think of that weighing on your mind to determine whether you're going to join up with the army that's going to fight. Wow. And family, it's like that with us. You want to stay a Negro. I don't say you won't meet some cute person, somebody nice, maybe not so nice. Huh? How about that? And you'll come together and you'll have children and your children will love you. And then they'll have children, and the way we strain, it won't take too many generations for somebody don't know you. Your name will be forgotten. But you join up with Minister Louis Farrakhan. and the Nation of Islam. See, people are scratching their heads because they say, this war has never been fought before. That's right. So the war will never be forgotten of Troy the way they wrote it, nor the men who fight in it. And when I say men, that's men and women.
Yes, that's right. Yes, sir.
This war will never be forgotten. Anybody that tells you what we do today, it's going to go off and be erased somewhere in history, let me remind you of the words of our general today. In a war, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said, we will always be talked about among the original people because we are the generation of original people that will bring down Satan's world. You will never be forgotten if you join this army. Your name will be written in the book of life. And the original people who may never have to even see a Caucasian and what it was like to live in his world will always talk about the Muslims who were dead, sleep, in the mental grave, and woke up. And when we woke up, we went to war. See, it's always easy to look back on what somebody did, but it's hard to live through what they did. But we living through it. We ain't living through a time where, well, I struggled a little bit and I got over. We're struggling right now against the wiles of Satan. He's already trained the black man how to have a strong body but a weak mind. You're strong, you can get with all the women, and you're so strong you can make babies all over the place, but your mind is weak, so you don't know how to raise them. It took Sister Ava when a woman asked her, why y'all got all that dress on? She said, why are you undressed in the public? We dress, our women dress the way they dress, sending a message, a strong signal, huh? But if you out there and ain't got on nothing but a thong, what are you communicating? What kind of signal are you sending about the kind of woman you want to be? See, we got to be purified. That ain't an easy work. I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on WVON radio. And he had to talk about how difficult it is for us after coming up under a rebellious devil. He didn't say it that way, but that's what he's talking about. Because the man in sense was asking him, you know, it's a lot of people that's been in the nation, but they just out there now. They got the name Muhammad, so they doing their own work. He said everybody can't come up under the discipline that's necessary. For Master Fard Muhammad's spirit to be really, truly transmitted in them. You can be inspired and you can go on out there, but when you leave the class, Master Fard Muhammad don't leave the class with you. You can go out there if you want to, but he's not going to be with you. And you may have some measure of success, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is teaching that the motive behind why you do what you do determines how much of God's Spirit is with you when you do it. And without his Spirit, because it ain't by power or by might, but by my spirit saith, not your spirit, but by my spirit saith the Lord. Man. And he introduced the executive council. Huh? All praise is due to Allah. And Eddie Reed, when he heard the minister say, I chose them, he said, oh, you chose them? What do you think, they just formed a committee? He chose 13 people. See, problem number 13 talks about solving a problem, and when you can solve it, you secure benefits for yourself while you live. And he's showing that he's not selfish when it comes to set up something because you want to see something live beyond yourself. That's the kind of leadership we have in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We should put the devil on notice. We should put all the spies that are in our mosque on notice. We should put every hypocrite on notice. And if you fall into disbelief, huh? The minister's saying the best thing to do is leave him alone. Don't let yourself get caught up in some mess with some folks to come up after him. That's not the mood right now, and that's not the move right now. He listed his enemies, which was the government. He listed his enemies. That's Rome. He listed his enemies, Mecca. He listed his enemies, the hypocrites. And then he added to the list, weak-minded believers. We got to get strong now. This is the only place where you can have a strong body and a strong mind. Huh? We're not slaves to the white man. This lesson teaches us we're slaves to mental death. Huh? We want to come back alive again. So the press asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad, what is your mission? He said, my mission is to give life to the dead. That's the mission. Now, we can find a whole lot of other things to do, but the thing that really gets you on the scoreboard with Master Fard Muhammad is the work of getting the dead connected with the man whose preaching gives life to them. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we're going to be here in Germantown as a start for the other places that we got to set up. Huh? We're going to drive over our critics. We're going to drive over people falling into disbelief. See, God didn't come to make himself believed. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this God came to make himself known. Huh? Why? Because if I stay just in belief, I could always fall into disbelief. At some point I got to get, that's why he said, did you think I was just going to leave you alone saying you believe? Come on. And I would not try you. I will keep trying you till you get past belief and come into knowing who I am. There are advantages the devil has over us, but one of the main advantages the devil has over us, he knows God. Devil done had a conversation with him according to the Bible and the Quran. He already had to accept from God that his days are numbered. So he just tells God, look, I'm not going to rise up against you and stop you from doing, because I can't stop you. What I promise you is I'm going to take down as many of them as I can. Then Allah says, then I'll fill hell up with all of you. We're in the changing of worlds. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. This is a period that we've never been in before. Now, 50,000 years ago, there was universal change, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, in the changing of worlds, there are acts that are unprecedented. The homicide rate is up. But what we're not paying attention is that the suicide rate is up among black folks. Now, we done caught the worst hell any human being could ever put in a book, and we weren't killing ourselves the way we're killing ourselves now. So what does that tell you? The mind is getting weaker, which lessens our resolve and resilience, because we're a people, no matter what you did to us, we always bounce back. Huh? And now, it don't take much for us to kill each other, and it take nothing for us to kill ourselves. So we're weakening. Well, Brother Muhammad, you need to stop talking because you're going to go to hell. And I said, what's going to happen to me in hell? They said, when you burning, you're going to be wishing for death. People killing themselves right now. They ain't got to this place you call hell. Maybe we're in it already. Have you thought about that? In the changing of worlds, there's some language in the Quran that is interesting. You expect to see in the Quran that you should believe in Allah. That makes sense, doesn't it? But why does it say you should believe in Allah and the last day? Who's got a last day coming? And if you're a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim, we're all looking for some kind of heaven or paradise. Got to start somewhere on some day. That could be the first day. But if you're in a world of evil that God is displeased with, when is that world going to have its last day? See, that's why you got to make heaven someplace way out there. So you're not looking at something changing here. But Jesus said, pray on this wise, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so we have incidents that are going on that the world of evil and evil planners are not prepared for. So the last subject we had from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on Savior's Day in Detroit was the unraveling of a great nation. He didn't say nothing about a great power was coming against America and they were going to destroy her. She's falling apart on her own. This is her own undoing. But in the letter we received from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan about this unraveling, the letter said the unraveling of two great nations. America and our nation. Unraveling, coming apart. In the student enrollment, we're asked the question, what are the exact square miles of the useful land that is used every day by the total population of the planet Earth? And we say the useful land that is used every day by the total population of the planet Earth is what? 29 million square miles. So the question says, well, how much of the useful land does the original man use? Well, the original man uses 23 million square miles. Well, how much of the useful land does the colored man use? The colored man uses 6 million square miles. But if you add up Europe, Australia, New Zealand, America, and any other places, you get more than 6 million square miles. But what does represent 6 million square miles, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is the United States of America. Now think that over. You say, well, wait, the colored man is using Europe. He's using these other places. No, this is what he's focusing on. Just like you say, well, Christianity is 2,000 years old, but Mr. Muhammad says it's only 551 years old. And as Dr. Wesley says, we just rather say, don't disturb my faith with your facts. Don't bring me no facts. But see, you can't bring me facts to show me Christianity started 2,000 years ago. Because it didn't. Did Christian theology start? Yes, it did. But what they set up after Christian theology, it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus Christ. That's why when you're in it, you don't follow Jesus, you follow the man that lied on Jesus. We love Jesus. We love the Christ. And guess what? The Christ, the real Christ, loves you. But the man who was bringing him to you, he had another idea in mind. To bring us in submission to him. Doesn't even make us hate him. I've been to some meetings with some angry black folks that are tired about what white supremacy has done to them. But I have never been to a meeting where the black folks had as an agenda item, we want to get revenge on white America. As mad as we are, look at the nature of us. All we want is to be left alone, give us an even playing field. Don't bother us no more. Let us live in peace and let us build and work. The only reason we're having demonstrations and everything because somebody keep meddling with us. So Mr. Muhammad, according to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is teaching us, he takes the anger and the rage of black America and rechannels that energy into deciding to clean up. In other words, you're mad, get mad enough to clean up. Oh, you angry? Get angry enough to start respecting the black woman and stop calling her the B word. You upset? Stop being lazy. Put your hands to work instead of putting your hands on her and on each other. Pick up a shovel rather than a gun. You're mad, then Mr. Muhammad said, then let's start building and stop tearing down. That's what I signed up for 40 years ago. Mr. Muhammad takes time in the message to the black man to talk about the breaking up of the old world. Now, the old world is a sphere of mental activity. How does that work? If he can prescribe, the minister teaches us the diameter of your knowledge, then he can control the circumference of your activity. Once he prescribes for you sports, he already know what your activity is going to be. Sunday, you getting ready to watch all the games. And you know, the black man, he ain't read no books on sport, but he know everything. Just watch us when we sit down. We don't just know who's playing it. See, that player, he only does this, that, and the other. We know the good draft picks. You think we was in the business. Ain't got two nickels to rub together. And know everything from A to Z about the game. I'm not against sports and, you know, athletics. And in the nation, we're not against sports and athletics. But the minister said that should not be the major focus, particularly of the black man. For his days to be spent endlessly talking about sports, and you're always waiting on a championship. Look how the man keeps us going. If it ain't the World Series you're waiting on the Super Bowl. If it ain't the Super Bowl, you're waiting on the basketball championships. Now that Tiger Woods has been over, we watching a little golf. See, I grew up with Arnold Palmer and all these people. Y'all got Tiger Woods. Huh? But the Holy Quran teaches us that this is a world of sport and play. So that means the sphere of the activity of our minds is caught up in something that does not advance us as a people, especially in the condition that we are in. So Mr. Muhammad says we got to break up the old world. And the war of Armageddon, it starts, he says, when truth clashes with falsehood. Right now, we're in the process of the truth coming from the mouth of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a perfect representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He is today's preacher of freedom, justice, and equality. But when he speaks, it makes you uncomfortable. Maybe you'll get angry with me before the day is over. But if you be honest about your anger with me, your anger with me is that I'm speaking a word that makes your slave master uncomfortable. Al Gore is not speaking it. We're the ones speaking the inconvenient truth. It's the truth, but it ain't nice. It's strong medicine. The strongest medicine is probably made for the sickest patient, who's one step away from the morgue and desperately needs this medicine to clean us up. So the next 3 weeks, we ain't gonna take all day with you. We want to talk about high civilization. And before any new world can be made up, there has to be a breaking up of the old world. When they wanted to gentrify North Philadelphia and other places, they start tearing down what was already up, right? Before you see any carpenters, electricians, or anybody come in, the demolition crew comes in. A wrecking crew to break up what was already there, because what's there is not their idea of what they want to see there. Some people are trying to hold on to their structures as long as they can so they can get the highest dollar for the little, the row house or whatever. But they got a new plan to say, well, the bank won't give us that much for the house. And see, with the roof leaking and the plumbing out and you need this money to get this, that, and the other done, they banking on. You're going to take that quick little money and run. Right? There have been efforts to try to curtail this, because so far we've been talking about gentrification, but we haven't done nothing about it. And when they start telling the minister, well, they're moving black folks out of the city and they're taking back over the city, he said, yeah, well, the scripture says that's what's going to be destroyed, the cities. The area he putting you out in might be a safe area. They plan a plan. And Allah plans one. And Allah is the best of planners. So, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, in the book of Joel, he points out about the day of decision. The day of decision, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in Message to the Black Man, has already started. It began with Allah himself, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Now, we can take that or let it alone. But the day of decision means he's cutting at the root of the black man's life. How does he do it? Teach the knowledge of self. Now, what's that going to do? I've been in some organization, they told me I was from Africa and stuff, so I got the knowledge of myself. But Mr. Muhammad takes you back to the God that created you. Once you get the knowledge of self, automatically, that's going to change your prayer. Nobody even have to mention the white man. Y'all talk about white folks. We talk about more about us and our problems here. In fact, about it, when we finish talking about high civilization, you'll see the white man is the least of your problems. Your biggest problem is in the mirror, trying to undo what he did to you over this 400-year period. And that's about all the gasoline, spiritual gasoline we got left, is to try to get ourselves together. Hating somebody else is beneath us. We hate the evil that you do, and we hate the evil that you're doing. But if you think I'm going to spend what little time I got left on this planet hating some white people, using the energy, I need every bit of energy I got to try to love my black self. So after you teach me that I'm the original man, I thought this over. It's impossible to go back and pray to the same God that the enemy had given us. In the movie Malcolm X, when he stands up and says something about Jesus being another color other than white, the man stopped the class. Isn't it obvious that God is white? And then he showed a face coming out of the clouds, and they can draw things to give you an image. And Malcolm said, that's obvious. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, see? And the crafty way that he does it, he takes Judea, and you a black pastor, so you just on cloud 9, spiritually speaking. To take your church to visit Jerusalem because you think it belonged to somebody else. Say this is Judea. Then the Romans named it Palestine, right? And then now, since 1948, they named it Israel. That's North Africa. That's right. Listen. Did you hear what I said? Listen. And if you go on the Google engine search for Semitic people, the Semitic languages and people started in North Africa. That's right. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is right in saying that the original Hebrews were black, and he's right in saying that the original Arabs were black. I actually went and studied up on, they went to do a DNA study of the Arabs, and they deliberately kept all the dark-skinned Arab away from the study so it could appear. Did you hear what I said? So it could appear that Arabs are white. They're white over there, but I don't know nothing about the original Arabs being white. Mr. Muhammad teaches us they were black. You say, but Brother Muhammad, they're all coming from the Middle East. Have you ever thought of the Middle East? Do you realize it was Admiral Mahan from America who came up with the term in 1901? Said, we'll call this area the Middle East. Then Churchill started it from England, and then it caught on, and so everybody's been calling it the Middle East. I learned in grade school it's only 7 continents.
Come on, that's right. That's right.
So what continent is Judea in? What continent is Arabia in? Where Mecca and Jerusalem are involved. The people who claim Jerusalem now didn't build it. Jabus built it, right? Original man. And the Jebusites are in the book of Genesis. Genesis is built up from the word genes because his genetic makeup was a black man. See, unless we're armed with knowledge, if you got a gun and a bullet, it'll be pointed in the wrong direction. When Malcolm was Malcolm Little, he could shoot a black man before you could bat an eye. But by the time the Honorable Elijah Muhammad got a hold of him, don't ever think, you say Malcolm was doing all these great things. Malcolm X was a tool in the hand of a wise master builder. And what he did, you attribute great things to Malcolm, but you missed the phone calls to Mr. Muhammad about what to do. Well, Malcolm brought all these people to the nation. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was all up and down the East Coast for 7 years, outrunning the hypocrites, deadly hypocrites who wanted him dead. Half-learned Muslims. The minister said a half-learned Muslim, he knows something, but just enough to get in trouble. That's about all he knows. That's why he gossips more than he recites the message. Huh? And he's always spreading bad news and ain't got nothing good to say, but he's with Muhammad. Glenn Muhammad was like that. He was in the mosque. He went and set up his own mosque. I'm better than Elijah. Weak-minded people followed Glenn. Abdul set up his own mosque. So they was holding their meeting the same time Muhammad was holding his, and they, they got to fighting in their houses. The messenger said their house came apart like Columbus, who only discovered the poor part of the planet Earth. That means he was half learned, the messenger said. He sailed the ocean blue, but what he found. That's why they tell people don't church hop, mosque hop and everything, because if you're looking for a place with no problem, you the problem. If it ain't got one, it will have one once you sign up. Why? Because to be on the poor part of the planet Earth, the minister said, is to look for the worst in anybody. And then you land right there and you say that's the total person. If Master Fard Muhammad had done that, we never would have got up. He found the worst black people you could ever find because we have been in the hands of our open enemies and God's enemies for over 400 years. The minister told us he found black devils, but he didn't rest on that. When he got to Detroit, he didn't call us devils. He just said a softer term, you other than yourself. If he'd have called us black devils, we might not have ever came to no more meetings. I'm going nowhere, the man called me a devil. Y'all don't mind me talking about some of this. Man. So they start using this term, the Middle East. So they done co-opted Arabia, co-opted Jerusalem, took the area of the earth, cut it off from being Africa, right? And are determining that they are the ones that are Semitic. They are the ones. Now, Musa did go to the cave and hillsides of Europe. That's why you don't never see Jesus talking about Pharaoh. Even though Jesus says, I'm not come to throw away the law of Moses, I'm here to fulfill it. But he didn't talk about a Moses who was in Egypt. See, because that's a prophetic picture of Abraham's seed who would also be in bondage for 400 years. In the book of John, Jesus tells you about the Moses of 4,000 years ago, as Moses lifted up the serpent of the wilderness. But wait a minute. Who is the serpent and where's the wilderness? But the way Moses lifted up the serpent of the wilderness, so shall the Son of Man be lifted. The serpent of the wilderness were the people who lived in Europe after we won the war against them. We didn't just hand out something and say, you all get in line, we getting you all out of here. Go back and message to the black man. There was a war in Mecca. They went to war with us. They said, we're not moving. We're not leaving you all. We had to drive them out. Are you listening to me? Yes, sir. And the messenger uses these words, and Allah was successful in that war, and we drove him out. But we only drove out the ones we could find. The minister asked us once at dinner, well, what happened to the ones that we didn't find? We were looking for some wise answer or something. He said, no, they just grew up. He said, how come they didn't do devilishment that Yaqub taught them? Because of the environment that they were in. They were in a righteous environment. See, the environment that you're in, he was teaching us, it colors you. And it makes you into something that may not even be your nature. Come on. So you could have the nature and inclination to do evil, but the environment you're in checks you. Go ahead. Right? Well, I want to rape. Well, you know, by Friday, your head is going off. I want to steal. Well, you're going to lose a hand. Ain't nobody going to keep you in jail no 15 years and be buying you 3 meals a day. And your taxes got to go up and pay for you, and you want to rape and steal and kill other people and stuff. By Friday. We don't have a budget to keep your raggedy behind beyond a week on this planet if you rape a woman. And see, the minister teaches us that the rape of a woman murders the essence of the woman. And the only way she can be restored is that God restore her after an act like that. Now think about a people who've been raped. Over 400 years, you're getting raped. They tear your clothes off of you, force themselves on you, force you to have intercourse with false ideas and beliefs about your God and yourself. You murder the essence of that people, and when the essence is murdered, only God can restore it. He has come to restore us because the essence of us has been murdered from us. A raped people. And as he works to restore us, he's going after the rapists. That's justice. So they went to war with us. And of course, this war is at a high level. Because it's at a high level, by us not understanding signs and symbols, we're losing out. As I said last week, when you take the driver's exam here, the first thing you take before they do all the questions and answers is the sign exam. And on the signs, you're not allowed to miss one. Because you misread a sign, you'll take the vehicle in the wrong place, and you won't know what you're doing, and you end up colliding with someone. Well, we have become a people that don't know how to read signs. And our life is a wreck as a result of it. We trying to find the Jesus of 2,000 years ago who was a sign. Misreading the sign, you done passed up the man sitting right in front of you. You want a Muhammad who already told you to look for the Mahdi. You want a Muhammad who already told you 3 generations after him would not be of him. And you're always trying to get close to the people who you think are in close proximity to him. But ain't nobody in close proximity to him because they're not even of him. That's why I say we at a war and we at a high level. This kind of war make you kill yourself. And it makes it difficult for you to accuse somebody. You begin to look foolish pointing to somebody else about your problems. So Mr. Muhammad took our anger so it wouldn't be misguided, and he put it in a direction that would make us begin first to change ourselves. Stop trying to make change in the community and you don't want to change. You want to see change in the community, you got to make a change. Well, we're arguing for resources now. For what? We're going back to the source. Hell with the resource. The minister said, when we're properly resurrected mentally, we're the greatest resource. Of all the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad built, it's always said his greatest asset is his follower. Because they're learning what it takes. You can't build this without sacrifice. You can't build this without discipline. You can't build this really without focus. There's no such thing as a casual Muslim. Well, I just float into prayer on Friday and then I go back out and, and do that. Not in the world like we live in today. You can't be a casual Christian. So high civilization is what Mr. Muhammad is offering us. In other words, stop protesting about this man giving you an equal place with him. You don't know what he knows. That's why we don't have what he has. And Allah sets his hand against 2 things in this land that we have to talk about over the week. First, his wealth. And it's drying up. If you're sitting around with a false hope that you're going to share in his wealth, the 1% is sucking up everything, taking it and putting it into foreign accounts. So can't nobody get, that's what you call hoarding wealth. It's not circulating around here where you can make something. They keep making something and taking it and setting it up over there, and they're squeezing us for what little bit we got. And as they squeeze us, if you're not mentally equipped, you'll turn on the brother and sister that's getting squeezed right with you when they're not the ones squeezing you. Let me see if I can get this on. So Mr. Muhammad is talking from the original rules of instruction. The time is ripe for us to reclaim our own. This is a great time of reclamation. They got a group in Philadelphia called Reclaim. We're trying to claim something that someone else took. And you think you can hold a conference and get them to let you reclaim it back. Yeah, I heard the minister talking one day. He said, do you really think a 3-day conference empowers black people with a man who's known how to rule over you effectively for over 400 years? See, we need a guide to help us to bring about such a thing. But the time is right for us to reclaim our own, which is knowledge. The greatest knowledge anyone can get is the knowledge of God. But if you just learned about yourself and who you really were, that'll change your prayer. You'd start asking, well, who do I pray to? I can't keep praying to a mystery God. Why? Because you're learning about yourself now. And you can't learn about yourself without learning that your fathers have searched for trillions of years for the mystery God. They have not found such. So if you're looking for bread to put on your table and a roof over your head, you can't keep looking for a God that don't exist. We got to have understanding and a high civilization. If you translate high civilization, think of heaven. We've been looking for that. Every time someone dies, we claim somebody else is already there. And the way we describe heaven, now look how he's got us doing it, and I'm not mocking us. Hell, but somewhere this got to stop. Yes, sir. Come on now. We look at what somebody's doing down here in this world, and we say, I know they're up there doing the same. No, they're not. And even if it was up there, if it's supposed to be way different from here, they can't be doing the same thing they were doing here when they go up there. They got to find something better to do. We need understanding, high civilization. We all are equipped. Physically, we can make it. And mentally, to accomplish the said above, look at this, with little study. It's not changing? Huh? Oh, what happened? It went back? Oh, then it went off. Oh, it's not on the screen then. Huh? I don't see it on this screen. I'm looking at this screen here. It's not on it. Huh? It didn't switch? Okay. It's not switching. Okay. So we don't have the technology right then. Well, anyway. Can it, so it's not connected to the television. It was switching at first. So how did it go to this? I'm sorry, you all. I guess it just, but anyway. I guess it won't switch. Well, I'll just have to read it off. It's not, it's only a couple of them, you know. But anyway, we can accomplish this with little study. So don't get afraid about, I got to be studying all day and night and everything. You know, when we start having to labor our mind, they make the Negro get scared of that. That's right. You know, as a young black man, I'd rather pick up a gun than a book. It's easier for me to carjack somebody or kill them than to read and study and dedicate my life and make myself better. My world gonna stay small when I don't read. Right? Guy was telling me the other day, he said, some young guy was telling me he was going out of town. He's in Chicago, and he thought they went out of town, And he went to the north side of Chicago. He had never been beyond the neighborhood. He lived on the south side of Chicago. So he called it going out of town, going up on the north side. And his world is limited. Now his world could be expanded if he could just read a newspaper article. It lets you know that Chicago got more than the south side. It's got the north side too. I'm just trying to give you an example how they dumbed us down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they have made it so that mentally we don't seem to be able to make it. We don't feel equipped to do what's necessary to bring about a change in our community. Mr. Muhammad says not only with little study, watch, he says old, comma, or young, comma, old, comma, men, comma, and then women and children.
And children. Yes, sir. Come on.
What does that mean? We don't have a kiddie teaching. Well, do we have a little kiddie kind of teaching for the young people? The young people learn just what the older folks are learning. There is no teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that's designed, for kindergarten, and then we got something for your older folks and everything. So y'all can go over in Sunday school while we go. No, we all getting ready to learn the same thing. Because you over here learning something, you don't know what your child is being taught in there. And both y'all come home with different ideas. They over there sucking up because they asking the right questions in the Sunday school. They getting a better teaching than you getting out there because we don't ask no questions. We just believe the 10% on face value. So you come home, oh child, the devil is a liar. But your child asked the question in Sunday school, how come everybody got a different God and the same devil? If your God is different, how come the devil ain't different? God help us. On earth as it is in heaven. Because we are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, heaven and hell are two different states and conditions. They live right here on earth. If Jesus is praying the prayer called the Lord's Prayer, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, if it's going to be done on earth, we shouldn't be too anxious to leave earth to find the kind of peace that they say you'll find in heaven. Apollo space flight been up there. They sent something else up there. They just sent a camera up there, went all the way to Mars. They got a telescope that's here on Earth, the third planet from the sun. And from the sun to the far planet Pluto is 4,600,000,000 miles. They got a telescope going all the way out there. And they haven't found heaven. He should be asked about that. Don't look at me angry. Just think about it for a minute. Have you asked them about that? Because I'm interested in what they have to say for themselves. We already done backed them up on Adam and Eve. They couldn't be white because we brought up one of their geneticists, Mendel, right? Who said now the dominant gene in the black man and woman, it could produce the recessive gene of white. See, from the black woman, you can get every hue that's out here. Huh? That's why you don't have no excuse running off to get a Caucasian woman. But I want to get somebody that's kind of white. Black women produce them all colors. You just don't want somebody here. And you don't need no black woman from Belize and Trinidad and someplace. No, you need a North American black woman who will challenge your raggedy behind to get up and make a man of yourself, raise your children right. Mr. Muhammad did not want us to go beyond ourselves for our mates. Going off to some other country, some other culture, some other thing. From the condition that we have been built in, this is a superior culture that Mr. Muhammad is giving us. So we can all be trained in this. Let me see if it'll go to the next one.
Yes, sir.
Look what he says. This is the preface. You know, usually you read the preface of a book if you read those. Brother Jabril always taught us, read the preface so you'll know what the author had in mind, why he wrote the book and what he wants you to get from it. But he says, as we near the exhaustion of the wisdom of this world, which has not been able to shed enough light on our path in search for that supreme wisdom to keep us from stumbling and falling. Because that's what we're doing. Show me a problem that's been solved, that's been on the news, including the baby formula. No, just show me. I mean, if you're not thinking about this, then you sitting up deluding yourself mentally that this world is working. It's working towards something, but it ain't working toward dissatisfaction of the masses, which Mr. Muhammad teaches us is at 100%. 100% doesn't mean that only black folks are upset. White people are upset. And they're upset about more things than we care to believe about. And that's why the minister said they're getting ready to prove to us the work that we did on the island of Pilan. The thin veneer of civility is being peeled off just like you peel an onion. And so now you're just getting heinous acts. Like this thing in Buffalo. See, they made a big thing about Colin Ferguson. Black man on the train in New York would only shoot white people. That thing went all over the world. I don't even know if I know this white boy's name that killed the people. And when you're angry and you don't have a teacher who knows how to take your anger and channel it right, then you'll do what we're doing right now in Minneapolis when they killed George Floyd. White folks said, you know, I never knew, I never stopped. See, COVID made everybody take a look at it. And it is true, white folks, you know, some said, wow, I just didn't realize it was like this. It kept getting past me. I was even blaming black people for their own problems till I saw what they did to George Floyd. George Floyd was supposed to have had a counterfeit 20. Now, the police wasn't just riding by looking for people that had a counterfeit 20. The man in the store called the police. Come on, somebody. I'm going to walk you back through this. He even came out and said, I'm the one that called him. He saw the police going too far. He didn't want to be responsible for that. Now, if you got a counterfeit 20, even if you call the police, it's because you're refusing to take the $20 bill, right? Because it's counterfeit. He went and took it and exchanged it and gave him some cigarettes or something he bought there. Then he called the police. Police come. They want to take George Floyd. Well, the West is history. Black folks got angry. Oh, no. Some white folks got angry and joined with them. They burnt down 3rd District Police Station. Remember that? You got to really be mad you burned down a police station. We're going to get the police. They started to defund the police. Let's start with this building. Woof. They tore up everything. They fought police and everything. Do you know the store that called the police, we still in there giving them our money? We did everything but boycott that doggone store. That's how you got anger, but it's so misguided. You still supporting the people that if they had never made that phone call, George Floyd wouldn't be dead right now. He wasn't trying to rob the store or anything, but why would you exchange the money? Well, the owner told me to call. Well, the owner threw him under the bus because he didn't want to lose that business because the only people shopping in there was black people. That store's open today. They're in there right now, supporting them. We're stumbling. And we're falling, according to Mr. Muhammad. There's light, but the light is dimming. And a dim light, you can get a little picture of something, but you can't see as clear if the light is bright enough. And so we don't have a light for our path to help us get through the river of blood. I should call it a sea of blood, because the believers walk straight through the Red Sea of blood that parts for them to get us out of this. We now seek the wisdom of Allah, the best knower. Doesn't mean other folks don't know something. But Mr. Muhammad has proved, and he's always said, if you got something better, if God got something better for you, come and share it with us. And if it's superior to what I'm teaching you, we'll follow you. See, nobody has taken him up on that. Just like in the Ken Burns did the 8-hour thing on Muhammad Ali. And it's the first time that they showed that when Ali's finances went down, when they took his title, what kept him afloat was Mr. Muhammad. They were showing, that's the first time they ever showed that. Because they wanted to make you think that they just had him in there to try to get somebody so they can make money. Mr. Muhammad was getting money before Muhammad Ali came. He was Cassius Clay. He gave him the name that took him worldwide. I'm almost finished. Look at this, and then I'm going to show you something. We'll get into it. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan said, at the root of every civilization is a knowledge, inherent in which is an idea that gives energy and direction to that knowledge. See, right now, I'm going to show you over the weeks white folks who are writing books about how the things we used to love and believe in and cherish is all being taken away. Why? Because something is coming at the root of the knowledge of the present world that we're in. Jesus was white. We got rid of that. Now they know he was black. Adam and Eve was white. On the cover of Newsweek magazine, they showed a black man and woman. Inherently, it's an idea. It gives energy and direction to that knowledge. Watch this. But if the idea at the root of that knowledge and at the root of that civilization is finite, then the world that comes as a result of that knowledge is also finite. It has an end. We are at the end, the last days of this man's world, of his ideas. And they don't know how to get back. You notice every politician now running, particularly in the Republican Party, is talking about, we want to get America back. Who took it? We didn't take it. We ain't got no money. You want to get it back. What they mean? They don't have the control that they used to have. You're not playing ball the way you should be. The Negroes that got along with us are producing children that couldn't give a damn about the deal that their parents made. So they're getting upset, and these young people now are becoming of age, and they're running for Congress. They got 4 women in Congress. 2 of them are Muslim, for sure, and the other 2 that have joined on with them, the sister from Massachusetts, and then Cortez out of New York. These 4 women, they call them, Trump named them the Squad. And they stood up to Trump and all them evil, hostile Republicans, right? And the minister said, those women are standing where black men should be standing. That's what he said. The courage that they're showing is why Master Fard Muhammad came. He's looking for some black men to show that kind of courage. The woman shouldn't have to step out there to deal with Israel. We should have been dealing with Israel. They scared in this city and everywhere else. And anybody that gets persecuted by them, remember, before you was persecuted, they persecuted the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Sister called him and said, I don't understand why they're doing this to you, Minister Farrakhan, if y'all all got the same God. He said, no, sister, we don't have the same God. It's because God ain't two-faced. He ain't going to answer the prayer of the slave and the slave master at the same time. Mr. Muhammad teaches us there are 2 gods, a God of evil and a God of good. And Paul preaches Christ, but he tells you in the Bible, Satan is the God of this world. This is not the world that God gave his son for. The world that he gave his son for, or gives his son for, is the world he's bringing in. That's why when Jesus stands before Pilate, he said, you know, my argument is that I'm not of this world. Another whole thought coming into existence now. So anyway, as we wrap this up, I wanted to show you a familiar face. Is our own Pat Buchanan. Now his book, The Death of the West, he's written several books. He's a real extreme kind of what they call right-winger. I don't follow, you know, people say, well, you know, Brother Muhammad, the left wing, and then we got the right wing. I said, the eagle is the symbol of America, isn't it? Every bird needs 2 wings to fly. So I don't know about the left or the right. We done went left, right, everything, and we still on the ground. Pat Buchanan says, oh, I mistyped something, the West is dying. You hear what I said? See, why is Farrakhan always talking about the world is in? Well, let's talk about Pat Buchanan then. He said the West is dying. He said its nations have ceased to reproduce, and their populations have stopped growing and begun to shrink. Not since the Black Death carried off 1/3 of Europe in the 14th century. Remember the bubonic plague came. 1/3 of their population died in Europe as a result of that. But there's never been a graver threat to the survival of the Western world. Haven't you wondered why the Republicans have ramped up their campaign against immigration? Because they found that the early immigrants to American life, which were coming from Europe, who were basically illiterate, and by being illiterate and unskilled, they had to learn their skills from the black man, because after the Civil War, the only tradesmen in the country were black. Your plumbers were black. Your carpenters were black. Your stonemasons were black, and that because a white man wouldn't be caught dead doing that kind of work. So by 1865, when the war was over, they saw all the skilled workers were black. And our research team picked this up, and that's why you see in the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, they set up unions, and so that we weren't allowed in them. That's why Mr. Muhammad was against the unions. Because the unions were set up to be all white and not let us in, but they were looking for generations of us to die off because we did not transmit what we knew. Sam Staten Sr., who headed Local 332, when I first moved here, he told me, he said, Muhammad, the average black man that moved to Philadelphia from the South knew how to build a house. We don't know how to build that now. That wasn't passed on to us. Are you following? Now, Mr. Buchanan is concerned with the population going down because Allah has set his hand against the womb of the white woman. And that's why they don't want no Roe v. Wade. They want to make every baby that they can because they're shrinking. They're not playing. That's why I'm bringing him up, because they're not playing. They're reading his book and they're deciding, man, the population profile is changing in America. And it's more color. That ain't what we were looking for. So the hatred against us is ramping up. Because the sophisticated moves that they were making, it's not moving fast enough, and we're making demands and we want more. And you'll never get more of what we're really looking for, black man and woman, till we build our own world. Under the guidance of the best knower. So the death of the West, this is a big fight, and that's why in politics it's turned into a cultural war. This Roe v. Wade, they worked hard to get the Supreme Court justices there so they could get this thing turned over. The next move is to make it absolutely illegal to have an abortion. They're not trying, black woman, to save your child. They can't afford any more black children. Do you realize the birth rate used to be at 0? Maybe 25 years ago. That means for every white person born, one was dying. But now, more are dying than are being born. And God knows the millions of abortions that are taking place, it will not give them enough. So Mr. Buchanan is arguing they're not making enough babies to replace not only the populations here, but also in Europe. Okay, the last point here. He said that America, too, is pulling apart along the seams. What does that sound? That sounds like you're unraveling. Huh? Why is Farrakhan talking about America's unraveling? Well, let's talk about Pat Buchanan. He says coming apart at the seams. Ethnicity and race is spreading. Moreover, America has just undergone a cultural revolution. They got a new elite now occupying and commanding the heights. And through it, they captured the institutions that shape and transmit ideas. See, if you don't build institutions, starting with Muhammad's University of Islam, to transmit ideas, the idea will die with you. It'll never get successfully transmitted to the next generation. They captured these institutions, they changed the opinions, the beliefs, They just raised the flag at City Hall. They raised the flag at the White House when Obama was in. They're pushing the LGBTQ community, but ain't nobody pushing you. The red, black, and green flag that we came up with from Mr. Garvey, right? Who said, you know, look for me in the whirlwind. Because America has sown the wind of evil, and the Bible promises that the whirlwind of payback is coming. Now, people hear us talking like this. They think we're going to do it. We ain't doing nothing. We just don't kill the messenger. We're just passing on some valuable information to you. It's called warning us. Beliefs and values on TV, the arts, entertainment, education. I couldn't believe that they were teaching the preschoolers, kindergarten, and everybody in Florida to tolerate, you know, homosexual behavior and that. Now, let me say something, because the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said the same science of evil that trapped our people into this, God is going to use that science to get us out of it. Because Satan is not after homosexuality, lesbianism, or nothing. Satan's after reproduction. He wants to stop God from reproducing on his own planet. So he develops a lifestyle that will bring about the ends of what he wants to do. He already knows he's losing. Look at the scripture. So, my last point is that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said, no child perceives properly. That's why you got to hold your child's hand when you cross in the street, because they're 2 or 3 years old. They really aren't in touch with the danger of just walking out there and not calculating when is the best time to walk. You try to keep them from things that you know will hurt them even in the house, because look, you and the man, if you still live together, you all know the territory. The baby don't know it. Baby been in the hospital. And before that, he was in the mother's womb. So the baby comes out, that's the first time they come into the crib. Huh? So if you don't watch them, they crawling everywhere. They're exploring because they ain't never been there before. They came out of the woman. But the home that they have, they've never been to before. The messenger Muhammad teaches us the enemy of this planet came out from the black man. Never been here before. He's crawling all over the planet. Huh? You ain't got no museum looking for original people. Our museums talk about our struggle here. He don't have no museums talking about his struggle. He got museums trying to show himself as being the origin. You know, you couldn't have giant lizards ruling the planet. Well, you know we had the dinosaurs. You really think the world looked like Jurassic Park? Do you realize the reptile is the cold-blooded creature? There were some warm-blooded creatures in there. None of them are there. Every creature is a reptile, even the ones that are vegetarian. Come on, somebody. Then you go to natural history museums all over the world. Every big city got them. They got whole structure. Where you find all those bones? See, now they're admitting there's a strong plastic that they use to give you the image. They didn't dig in the earth and find all those bones. Where those animals go? There's an old tape by Minister Ava. She talks about it. I mean, a big animal walking like that and everything is shaking when it's walking. You wouldn't have never got to build Philadelphia with that big thing walking around. She said, how do they reproduce? That's an event. Well, when was all this? This was prehistoric. You know why? Because he's 6,000 years old. And the scripture already shows you somebody was here before he was here. See, before Cain was born, Adam and Eve got put out of the garden, didn't he? Look at the language of the scripture. The Lord said, set up strong guards. Some scriptures say the cherubims. What you setting them up for? Lest they reach their hand back in the garden and touch the tree of life and live forever. How can they touch the tree of life? By cohabitating with the black woman to try to get their seed to live on, because the black nation has no birth record. Huh? So we set up strong guards. Where do guards come from? Eve didn't have them. Let's go on. He knew her, and they begot Cain. Then he knew her again and begot Abel. Then Cain got mad at Abel's offering, right? Kills his brother Abel. The Lord says, I'm going to banish Cain. Out of Cain's mouth, he said, I fear lest men should see me and slay me. What men? See, and I have the Oxford English Dictionary, the grandfather of all the English languages in there, and the word pre-Adamite is in there. So I'm looking at the definition through the lens thing I have, because you got to blow it up. And it said the pre-Adamites were the people who were here before Adam. So somebody else was here already. And somebody else was made. Wow. Well, we'll get more into it as we go along. But right now, we're being prepared for high civilization. And our maturity level, the child who's immature has to have the senses developed. And as the senses develop, it develops your level of perception. Don't care how real something is, what ends up being real to you is how you perceive it. You got that? And the less maturity you have, generally the more emotional you are. So if there's a fact that doesn't match your data makeup, emotionally you reject it. And so you don't grow, right? Don't be telling me about don't eat pork. I've been eating pork all my life. That's emotional. But it's a filthy creature to eat. It's not good for you. So the minister says, so as spiritual children, our immaturity is reflected in how limited is our use of the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We have to mature to get more out of it. That's why you can have it and still be relying on your open enemy for a job. It's not to put anybody down that's working, but we really don't value what our unity could bring about in a short period of time. And because we don't value it as individually, we're left. Well, that's why the devil's still here. Why don't we get rid of the devil? We're really starved then. Because the way he's made us with self-hatred, we won't eat nothing that one of us grew till we damn near starving. Well, I don't like them, what they said last week. So even though I'm hungry, to hell with the potatoes they grew or cabbage they grew. No, you think we're not like this? We're sick like this. You think we could kill each other this quick out here? So, next week we have to talk about Mr. Buchanan and others that are bearing witness to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches. And if the producing land is only 6 million square miles, that's the United States of America. That's running the whole show. So Allah's judgment would start here, what? First. Before Europe is judged, America has to be judged. And America has 2 oceans on side of her. You got to cross, 41,321,000 square miles of Atlantic Ocean before you can touch America's shores. You got to touch what, 68,634,000 square miles of ocean on the Pacific side before you can touch the shores of America. So ain't nobody coming to destroy America but God himself. And he got in across the Atlantic, came like a thief in the night. He's not a thief, but he's coming to some people that have been stolen from themselves. He's come to retrieve us. When a thief is going in, they showed some guys stealing $140,000 worth of jewelry. They moved so quick. The news camera was trying to get it on the video. They would bang, 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 bust the window up, boom, boom, jewelry, jewelry, jewelry. They was gone, and nobody knew the difference. They still looking for them. Well, a good thief already know what he's after. They knew what they were after. It was in full view. They didn't come in there looking for what's good to steal. A good thief knows what he's after. He comes like a thief. He knows who he's after. He escapes detection because he looks like them. When you've been made sick in your whiteness, all you need is a white face in front of you. And it'll put the white mind to sleep from paranoia. But your black skin is a weapon. You said, I ain't done nothing to them. I don't have nothing on me. They still afraid of you. Because you're a young black man walking around the store. A couple of weeks ago, I read the list that a black woman put down of the unwritten laws we got to live by. One law for the black man, you getting ready to get on the elevator and there's only a white woman on there. Wait for the next elevator. That's just unwritten. It ain't written down nowhere, so don't go looking for the law or something. You better know about it. Huh?
Go ahead, bro, Rodney. Go ahead.
You driving through Louisiana late at night? Make sure you already used the bathroom somewhere, right? Don't stop nowhere. Make sure you got a full tank of gas. You keep moving through them little towns. Try to get to some larger metropolis somewhere. Huh? It's not written anywhere, but you better listen to what I'm saying. All these things was down there. They said, man, you're a black man, you going into the store or something, don't walk around with your hands in your pocket. Make sure your hands are somewhere where they can see them at all times. Right? You're a black woman and you go into Gucci's. They said, know something about name brands. Don't go in there and talk about, can we help you? I'm just browsing and looking. No, don't say that. Do you carry Poochie? Do you carry, they don't have it. Let me see this fabric. Act like you know something about it. We're talking about them high-priced stores. I ain't talking about Walmart. Breeze Discount Center and stuff. You don't have to worry about that. Am I lying? See, we want to talk about we making progress, but we got all these unwritten laws we got to live by. It's more of them, but we got to be careful. You work a job that has a badge and you out drive, put the badge on. Might be your off day. And they said for black women, particularly young black women, keep your college sweater or your fraternity or sorority or whatever in the car with you. So if you ever have to go in the hospital, grab the sweater, take it with you. Because an educated black woman, they're not likely to mistreat you in that hospital openly. But if they think you're black and ignorant and poor, and they're the ones make you ignorant, they'll treat you any kind of way. You may never leave out of that hospital. And I remind you of Goodell's slave code, page 309 of the slave code. Black man and black woman's body used for three things, right? Number one, hard labor. Number two, breeding. Make some more niggas for us. And number three, experimentation to further medical science. That's the three In the slave code, that's the 3 reasons for our bodies still being here. Now, they're not getting as much hard labor as they used to get. Right? They want to stop us from breeding because they can't take the babies and immediately put them into slavery for hard labor. And now experimentation. The last experiment was the jab. They used Dr. Fauci's face. They created a hysteria. And then with the hysteria, now the deaths were real. And we ain't heard the last of it. We're a managed social group. That's why the Honorable Louis Farrakhan teaches us we're a colony. When you're a colony, you are a managed social group. The white folks in the Northeast do not call black leaders to help them solve a problem in their Northeast community. If they have a problem there, they meet on their own and come up with something. Make their demands on city government. Just think a minute what I'm saying to you. Ants don't plead with bumblebees to come in and help them. Bees are not asking hornets to help. You know, no creature of any species is looking for another species to come and help them make it on their own in this God-given world. Only the Negro, the so-called Negro, is always, well, we're demanding that somebody come in here and look, you a man. Just think what I'm saying for a minute. Because if you can shame us, Mr. Muhammad teaches you can change us. But if you don't feel no shame about calling somebody else in to help you manage your woman and your children and your affairs in the community, then, you know, there's nothing I can say to you. No, we have to get up on our own. We're going to ramp up our going after the gun violence in our city. But I'm not for talking about we going out to talk to these young people and you looking as thuggish as they are. Shave and take a bath. Let us take you and put some clothes on. As the Honorable Louis Farrakhan say, how the hell you gonna change a man out there and you haven't changed? Clean yourself up and go out and be unlike what's out there, because if you look like what's out there, you can't change what's out there. You have no hope of changing it. Your dress should be different. What you talk about should be different. And you can't take the young brother on the street and elevate his mind and your mind ain't elevated. You can't tell him we're trying to teach them to stick with the books and you ain't picked one up in years. So we have to go with what Mr. Muhammad gave us, and he told us the people that are out there killing themselves, he said they should come to what God has given him in words. And why? He said, because you that are with me, you used to do that, but now you don't do that anymore. Why? Because you've accepted what I'm teaching you. So don't ask me to join a coalition and put down Muhammad's teaching and follow your stuff in the name of unity. Your stuff is good enough for me to follow, but you don't want to hear what Farrakhan is teaching. But you want me in a coalition with the hell with that. And if you all think I'm not going with it, then you go join that coalition. I'm going with Farrakhan. And you can stay in your organization, but he said everybody in every organization ought to be trained by the FOI. brother told me, he said, well, you know, the nation, you all don't have enough people to go all over the, you don't have enough people to go all over the city. I said, yeah, but we got enough to train enough people to go all over. See, you really don't want a black man train you. Captain Dennis came here. He talked to some. They promised they were going to come. We supposed to have a big night and get started with the training and everything. See, none of those leaders showed up. We got too much false pride. I'm sorry I'm taking a little longer today, but I'm tired of this crap. We're burying black babies who could grow up to be industrial giants. Ideas are going down in the grave with those bodies. Nobody else is killing each other in their communities the way that we are. That ought to raise our eyebrow and talk about why it's happening to us. They don't like the term skunk of the planet Earth, but the skunk is the only creature whose presence is not required for you to know that he's been there. See, Mr. Muhammad wasn't trying to be derogatory. Mr. Muhammad was saying, see, we know this work, murdering each other, raping each other on scepter. Yeah, it's going crazy. It's off the rails. And so if the streets are going to be taken back, you can't be out there for decoration. I'm not going to no call out just to be out there for decoration. You're going to change. If you want the community to change for the better, you got to change for the better, because self-improvement is the basis for community development. Not a few extra dollars here and there. We are looking for a fistful of dollars. Gun back, buyback program, it can send a signal that we're trying to get, but I looked at those guns, I said, man, the Derringer, ain't nobody using that no more. Did you see it, the little Derringer? Said somebody came and gave that up, give me $200 worth of groceries. I'm hungry. No, the guns, this guy that's running for Senate against Dr. Oz, they still counting the figure. He got the gun. And he's ramping it up in Pennsylvania. And look how close he is to Dr. Oz, even with Trump's endorsement. And all his commercials going into the primary was about carrying a gun. And the last one, I thought he was through when he was walking with the gun on him and he's shooting at something out there in the woods. Then his grandmama, they call her Annie Oakley. She said, yeah, and I got mine. She put her shotgun up on it. Have you ever seen a commercial like that for somebody that's running to be a member of the United States Senate? The country is unraveling, and they're coming apart, and we can't come apart with them. Thank you for listening as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. All praises be to Allah.
Give him another round of applause, brothers and sisters, to our Delaware Valley Student Regional Minister, Rodney Muhammad. Wonderful, wonderful message. You may be seated, family. On next week, come back for the conclusion of what our brother taught today. But before we get into all that, I got 3 questions. How many of us believe that what we heard today is true and that it's good for our people and all of fallen humanity? Just by show of hands. Some of y'all don't believe it? Okay, well, I can't force, there's no compulsion. But anyway, praise be to Allah. My next question is, how many of us are out for our first time? Any first timers out today? First timers, don't be ashamed. Thank you for raising your hand. Sis, thank you for raising your hand, ma'am. Thank you, thank you. All praise is due to Allah. Give him a round of applause for showing up. being here. My next question is, if you believe that what you heard today is true and that it's good for our people and all of fallen humanity, how many of you will be willing to take the next step? And I can't ask you to join on to something that you already a member of, but how would you like to get your name put back into the book of life? You haven't been here. I mean, we have a new book. I mean, we need to write you in. We need to write your name in. Would you like to do that? Anyone today? Anyone? I'm not going to make eye contact with anybody, but if you feel the Spirit moved in you, come on up. I'll shake your hand. I believe Brother Rodney will come back out and shake your hand and welcome you to your home, the Nation of Islam. All praise is due to Allah. Well, if you feel like you're a little embarrassed or a little shamefaced to do that today, then you can go to the back of the room. That's where the Secretary of the Department is now. I call it the window view. Just go back there more discreetly, and they'll give you the form to fill out, and they'll send you back to Brother David. I don't know who's on this side with our Sister Kimberly. One of them will take care of you. Brothers, Brother David, sisters, Sister Kimberly on this side, or one of our sisters who are on the wall. So that being said, thank you all for being here. We're going to move very quickly. Your time has been very, very valuable today. I think you couldn't have spent it a better way. I couldn't have spent mine a better way than to hear the teaching that we got today. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Just before we start, we're going to move right to our charity portion, and this will be very quick. We're going to do it with some expediency, but I'd like to read something on charity. This is from 1 Corinthians, 8th chapter. It says, "Now as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth." Think that over. So to edify means to instruct or improve someone morally or intellectually. Don't you want to improve morally and intellectually? Well, we right here at Charity. Who would be willing to give the first $1,000 a day to help us with this cause? I'm just going to put it out there, because if you look around, doesn't it look good in here? Doesn't it feel good? It's almost 100 degrees outside, but you almost can't tell it in here, right? The brothers worked so hard in here. They were here till 11 o'clock last night, as Brother Rodney stated, and a large amount of money to get it in this kind of condition so that it would be comfortable for you, our guests, and the membership. We got to reach today. Okay, I put that on the table. Let's keep moving. Any $100 donators today? $100, $50. Brother Divine's hands go up. He gives $100 coming from Brother Divine. Thank you, soldier. $200. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, Brother Divine. All praise is due. Brother Kenneth's hand goes up. Brother Kenneth Muhammad, $100. Thank you, Brother Kenneth. All praise is due to Allah. Anyone else? $100 at this time. $50, 100, 150. I'm not an auctioneer, but 100, 150, 50, 50. How you want to do it? Go ahead. Red, yes, sir. Brother who? Brother Victor, $100. Give him a round of applause. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, Brother Victor. All those who've given thus far, 100. Anybody else? $100, $100. That's the rave right now. That's what's up. We're going to go all the way up. Come on. Let's bring it. 150. Any $50 donators today? $50. I got my brother right here. His hand just went up. Brother Charles gives $50. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, Brother Charles. I'm going to come to your number momentarily. Yes, sir, Brother David. From you, Brother David, student in the ministry. Give him a round of applause. $100. All praise is due to Allah. Anyone else? $100, $50. 150, 50, 100. There we are right now. It's marinating in your minds. I know we got a hand right here. Yes, ma'am. Could we get her name and the denomination that she's giving? 100. What's her name? Sister Nayoka. Give her a round of applause, brothers and sisters. Sister Nayoka, $100. All praise is due to Allah. Anyone else on this side? 150, 150, 150, $20. How many $20 donators do we have today? Yes, sir. Brother Vincent has his hand up. $20 coming from Brother Vincent. I got our sister right here. Yes, sir, Brother Josh. Who? Brother Caleb, $20. Give him a round of applause. Yes, ma'am, Sister Catherine. Hold on. Anonymous, $20. Thank you, Sister Anonymous. On this side, my sister right here, Brother Rodney, get her. Her hand is up. I don't want her arm to start hurting. She's had it up for a moment. Sister Alexia, $20. Thank you, Sister Alexia. Brother Nick, thank you, soldier. Praise be to Allah, $20. Yes, sir, Brother John. Brother Andre, $20. Thank you, Brother Andre. Praise is due to Allah. Brother Jamal, $20. Thank you, Brother Jamal. My brother, yes, sir. Anybody else? $20 on this side, $20. Brother Darren has his hand up. What we got? $20 coming from Brother Darren. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Anyone else? Remember, we're improving morally and intellectually every time we give. Yes, ma'am, Sister Catherine.
$20 from Sister Mary.
Sister Mary, thank you, Sister Mary. All praise is due to Allah. Brother John. Brother Marvin, $20. Yes, sir, Brother Rodney. Brother Lyle gives $50. Brother Lyle just raised the bar. He brought it back up. $50, $20. Any other $50 donators, $20 donators at this time. Praise is due to Allah. What's that, Brother Lance? We got something? All right, praise be to Allah. At this time, dear family, we're going to pass the receptacles. And if you have 10, 5, 1, or just a good spirit, and you really don't have it and you wanted to give, I implore us to continue to come out and hear the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And Allah, in his own good time, will allow us, or each one of us, to give whatever it is that we have on our hearts to give. But thank you all for giving first and foremost of the one thing that is the greatest charity you could ever give, and that is of your time. Thank you for spending it with us in our nation of Islam. All praise is due to Allah. Yes, sir. I got you, Brother Jack. I'm coming right to you. Let me get these other eyes. All right. Our announcements today, of course, come back next week for the follow-up, or the conclusion of what Brother Rodney was teaching today, high civilization. And in the very back of the room, I want to call it the Window Cafe. If you want to take some physical food with you, you've got spiritually fed, walk to the back and get you some from that, yes, from that area. Secretary's table, we have some food items that you can take home with you to balance out the spiritual aspect of what you got on the physical level, and some edibles that we have available to you. Thank you all, dear family, for being here. And as I said, we're not going to hold you any further. We've been well fed spiritually. If there are no other questions or comments, and everyone's minds and hearts are at ease, at this time, let us close with prayer. In a manner in which you are most comfortable, follow along silently. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of the day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and thee alone do we beseech for aid. O Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, and not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, and nor of those who go astray after hearing thy teaching. Say he, Allah is one. Allah is he upon whom we all depend. He neither begat nor is he begotten, and there is none like him. I bear witness that none deserves to be served or worshiped besides Allah, who appeared to us in the personage of Master W. Fard Muhammad, and we thank him for his wise choice in giving to us the exalted Christ in the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And to the two of them, if we lived 1,000 years, we can never thank them for the man that walks among us today. He is that messianic figure in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in those names, let us pray. Amen. Dear family, the meeting is dismissed. Go in peace. And remember, we are never to be the aggressor. However, if we are aggressed upon, we don't just fight with those who fight with us. We fight like hell with those who fight with us. Assalamu alaikum.